welcome to another edition of the RTF show, the funeral for the Decatur Staleys, but the birth of a child has happened as well. Some joy in this joyless world for the Rose family. John, welcoming Arlo to the world, brother John, now Father John.
I've done it.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Little Arlo is currently sleeping.
That's a big achievement.
Yes, very happily. He was visited by our very own Peter Kramer mere hours ago, and
Oh,
he gave me
nice.
great parenting tips. I think the
Okay.
best one was that Arlo started crying in his arms, and he Peter started making this like sound. I was like, oh, ah. And he's like, he, and Arlo quieted down right away, right? I don't know if there's a shock or comfort, but Peter's logic reasoning was that he that in the womb it's actually very loud, like body organs and whatnot. So he's used to a lot of noise. So if you just like
If you produce a lot of noise, quiets them down.
Noise towards them, that it works.
Well, good to know that Kramer is already scaring the shit out of your child. That's great.
It worked. It worked. He was happy then.
I love it. I love it. Nice, nice.
Everything's going well. Kelly also was here last night. She had a much gentler and nicer touch. She also brought us Indian food, which was super cool.
Okay.
Yeah, very good.
Nice.
We have a meal train going, which is really nice of everyone bringing us meals in the evening.
Sweet.
And the smart people signed up early and got the first ones, so they were are the first people to meet Arlo. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Nice. Well, in addition to having to manage fatherhood, well, fortunately for Arlo, you were fortunate enough to get a bye this week, so you don't have to have your eye too much on the football radar.
Yep.
You and Steve securing the bye weeks. We got to feel good for you. You got some injuries that you're trying to get healthy.
Yeah, very, very helpful. My number one running back. I think so. Rashad White actually might be my number one running back. But Josh Jacobs injured, not playing tonight. Looks like he would have feasted against this decrepit Chargers team. At the time that we're recording this, is it even halftime yet?
42-0. No, it's halftime. I think you're
behind.
It is
halftime. Okay.
It's 42-0 as we speak. Waiting for I've decided to forego my jersey today and wear my Staley's gear. This is not in support of Brandon though, who I'm hoping will be frog marched out of the stadium at halftime. But we'll see.
Onto the sideline. It is so bad. Josh Jacobs would have feasted though if he was not injured. Pretty incredible what we're seeing. But yeah, very fortunate. I gotta say thank you to Kelly for coming up huge last week. Absolutely huge. I guess we can get into that though in a bit.
I mean, that's a good transition. I think so. You recovering from injuries, Steve, whose team he's got some guys that are banged up, but whose team is really actually kind of health-wise, I think, peaking right now. Having to recover though from a somewhat embarrassing loss to Kelly, who finished the
Well,
season on a real high note, beating the points leader, the what would have been the wire to wire, I think, best team in the league, in week 14, coming away with another win. So congratulations to Kelly. Huge. I love it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely amazing. I mean, to
Hell of a
to
way to
say
end the
you're
season.
starting Josh Dobbs, Kenneth Gainwell, and
Mhm.
AJ Dillon, uh, and to pull out a victory against the number one team point scoring team, pretty
Pretty
impressive.
great.
Um,
Pretty great. Um,
pretty
so,
impressive.
fortunately for Steve, has some time to recover from that uh, from that
Yeah, mentally for sure.
embarrassing show. Um, the the playoff matchups are set though. Um, we are well. Actually, before we get to the playoff matchups, I did want to just shout out Josh, who also um, finished strong. Josh gets a win, beats Bill in week 14. In addition to that, Josh picks up a little bit of money. Week 14 was the too close to call um, weekly contest in which the winner of the closest matchup won, how much was it? 25 bucks?
25, no, 50 bucks, 50 bucks.
50 bucks, 50 buck prize. I'm
Yeah.
not even sure Josh is aware of that, but he comes away with $50 on the season. So big ups to Josh. Congratulations. Pocketing a little bit of cash and securing his fourth win in the process.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, the two teams that are in, second to last and last place in our league, Josh and Kelly,
Mhm.
actually you had a pretty big impact in this last week, right?
They did.
Kelly beating Steve, and then me winning allowed
Yep.
me to vault into first place.
Yep.
Which I think will, definitely looking at the matchups that we're looking at. Um, does have a pretty big impact on the path to a championship. And then Kelly, Josh beating Bill.
Hmm.
Um, Fitz winning gives Fitz the division
Yep.
division winner, which I don't know. It definitely does affect seeding because it does give Fitz that edge as I think the number 4 seed over Bill. So
Yeah, I think they would have played
they
each
have
other
no matter what.
regardless, most
Yeah,
likely, in the
yeah, you're probably
playoffs.
right. Hmm.
But yeah, so
But hey,
I'm
winning the
pretty sure they would
division's
have
winning the division. I think that you go
exactly.
into next year, it gives you a little bit of pizzazz there for Steve, myself, and Fitz as the division winners here. So pretty great. I mean, I feel like there's a
So
lot of great parity across the league though this year. So
yeah, it was an exciting year, and we'll do kind of I think a longer kind of season wrap up at some point.
hmm
But yeah, the playoff matchups are set. It is it's for today or this week. Fitz and Bill play each other. Fitz secures his playoff spot with a win last week. And then on the other side of the board, we've got Ken and Sullivan. Sullivan secures his playoff spot despite losing last week because both Kramer and I lost. I think had one of us won, uh, we would have moved into the playoffs. However, neither of us were able to get the job done. So Sullivan secures his spot in the playoffs.
I think it's just you. If you had won, then
Why
Sullivan would
wouldn't?
have been out because Peter was playing Kent.
Oh, you're right, because
So
that would have
either way, for them it was win and you're in. Uh, for Ken and
you're
Peter,
right. You're right.
and because they were both
Because
7 and
yep,
6.
yep.
And
It
I have it on First party authority. Uh, Ken says the rivalry is still alive. Ken takes him down in the last week of the season, knocking him out of the playoffs. Ken, I know you're listening. I know you're pumped that you took Peter down, your nemesis,
It's
your arch enemy, your man that just you couldn't get past that hump for so long. And you got
it's
him. Got him.
it was a big victory for Ken. I don't think there's any two ways around that. Peter Kramer has been a shadow kind of hanging over Ken his entire time in the league,
Thorn
and
in his side,
to see him
a rock
finally,
in his shoe.
yes, get out from under it, it was good for him. Good for him. It was an up and down season for Kramer, I think, this year. Talented team, a lot of injuries that just were, ultimately too much to for him to overcome.
So many injuries. It's unbelievable how many injuries Peter had. I think that could fill a solid 30 minutes of
Yeah,
pod time.
I think I did see somewhere that Chubb of teams, obviously Kramer didn't necessarily draft Chubb in the first round, but Chubb was one of those players that teams that drafted him in the first round had a pretty low percentage, maybe the lowest percentage of any first round draft pick of making
Yeah, I
the
saw
playoffs this year.
something that on Sleeper, like 0.6% of Sleeper teams were
Hmm.
winless in the year. And
Hmm.
I think like the vast majority of them had Nick Chubb on their team.
Yeah, yeah. It's
So
it was a tough one. Or in the yeah, but I think the second round is what I saw. I don't know. But okay, let's
yeah.
let's jump into it. So we've got a few injuries that impacted the playoff matchups, and we're just going to kind of focus on the playoff matchups this week. The big one being Jacobs, which we already said. Allen was also out, although so Allen and Jacobs, I think, are the two marquee players. But the ones I wanted to talk about that are intriguing to me are Sullivan. Both of his running backs are currently slated probably not to play this week. Um,
Yeah, I mean him
Matson,
starting Stevenson on
yeah,
when
we
he
didn't
was
even talk about that.
clearly out
Yes,
after Monday. I mean, yeah, we'll get into that at some point for sure.
yes, yes, we will. But right now, Sullivan does not have uh, two options at running back that he can plug in. He's going to have to pick somebody up. There's not really much on the waiver wire in way of him picking somebody up. I think I mean, based on the way the game has gone tonight, the player that he should have picked up was Zamir White, but he didn't do that.
Mhm.
So um, he's got he's got nobody really out there that I mean maybe he picks up Jarek McKinnon and McKinnon kind of gets him some run.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
it's not a bad
but
move.
no, but he's going to have to make some moves because it does not look like. I mean, Matson could play. Stevenson likely won't play. I guess he could still play, but
I don't
likely
know
won't
what
play.
they
Oh
would.
no, wait, Matson is out. I forgot about that. They ruled Matson out, didn't they?
Yeah, it looks like he's already out. Stevenson,
Yeah.
I highly doubt he will play. I don't know why he would,
Hmm.
given that they really have nothing to play for at this point. Rumor has it they've already made a decision on Belichick. You might as well, keep your only marquee player healthy, on the sideline
Hmm.
healthy. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. I mean, the only running back he has available is uh the backup in Carolina in
In
Miles
Miles
Sanders.
Sanders. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Yep.
he did get 10 touches last week, but that's in line kind of with what he's gotten over the last 4 weeks. which has not produced very much, especially in terms of fantasy. Uh,
Yeah.
and you've got a banged up Tyreek Hill at, which
Yep.
really he's been banking on Tyreek Hill for the entire season. And while he might not miss the game, he certainly, I don't think, is going to put up the 150 yards we've become accustomed to.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree. I think, yeah, I think Sullivan's going to have a tough time winning. In terms of, we can get into it a little bit more in a second, but in terms of the waiver wire, um, this week, not much really happened. Bill Bill picked up two defenses. He picked up the Bears and the Raiders. Uh, he's got
did
to
he
be
play
kicking
the
himself.
Raiders?
He did not. He started the Bears. Well, he's got the Bears in the starting lineup. He's got to be kicking himself for not having started the Raiders as of this recording. They've got 18 points. I think they have 3 fumble recoveries at this point. So it's
Two
yeah,
sacks, four forced fumbles, three recoveries. Jesus Christ.
yeah, that's
Incredible
rough.
that they have not intercepted the hockey stick yet.
Well, he hasn't really thrown many passes, so
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah. Um,
No
but I
time to
think,
throw. Oh, 14, 9 of 14 for 75 yards. Oof.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, that's a Mitch Trubisky stat line.
it is, it is. Oh boy. Okay. Let's get into these matchups a little bit.
Yeah,
Let's do Ken and Sullivan real quick, just since
we were on
I
there.
think
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were on there. I think it's going to be hard to predict what's going to happen in this matchup when Sullivan doesn't have a running back he can play. Um, but even so, I think not hard to predict. It's kind of pointless to predict what's going to happen in this matchup, I guess. Ken slated to win right now should win pretty handedly if Sullivan can't find a running back to play. So even with Tyreek Hill possibly playing, he's going to have a real uphill climb. At the same time, I hesitate to pick against Sullivan, even though he's been losing. His good
He's lost
fortune
5 games in a
has,
row, right?
yep, his good fortune has continued. He's in the playoffs. He's got a shot. So um, I got to imagine it would be a hell of a way for Kendall end this season, losing to a team that's lost 5 games in a row heading into the playoffs, who, you know, isn't going to have a starting running back to play in the first round after beating his arch nemesis to secure his playoff spot. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll
I
see.
mean, that would be a pretty incredible loss. I think, there are a couple spots on Ken's roster that I think could result in some miscues. I think Peter tried to do that last week in the group chat, tried to get in Ken's head a bit,
Mm-hmm.
put in some of those, you know, will he, won't he, who's he going to pick? But Ken made the right choices last week. But you've got questions at quarterback. He's rostering 3 quarterbacks right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Peter Kramer who said, if you roster 2 or more quarterbacks, are you really rostering any quarterbacks?
Pretty sure
Uh,
Kramer has rostered 3 quarterbacks at one point in this league. So take that with a grain of
uh,
salt.
well, that was this year, and look where he is. I mean, he
That's
was
true.
all
That's
over the
true.
place. No, but
True.
uh, that spot, and then also with when you're looking at like Brees Hall's potential hamstring injury, I believe. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Uh,
ankle,
ankle.
but looks like he's practicing, which is good. Um, and then you've got, Kenneth Walker, who I think should be fully healthy at this point, but if not, he hasn't been playing super great the last couple of games. Only one game above 8 points in the last 5 games he's played. so
Yeah.
not great. He's got some he's got some, options there. Hubbard, potentially, which would be an interesting play with Sanders on the other side. Uh, but I think this is Ken's game to lose, 100%.
Oh, I
But
agree.
he could make a couple wrong decisions that could cost him the game. But I think even then, 100 points is good
I
to get him
agree.
the win.
If Ken hits 100, I think he gets the victory. Um, okay,
I think
let's
it's gonna
move
be tough.
on. It's going to be hard for Sullivan to pull this out. Let's move on to the division rivalry. The division matchup, uh, Fitz versus Bill, the Peanut division. Fitz overtaking Bill for the top spot in the division last week of the season. Um, it's the 4 versus 5 matchup. Uh, what is there a side you like here? Is there? I'm hoping this will be a really close match. It should be a close matchup, but
Yeah, I'm going down the
I think
list here, and I am
they're
loving every single matchup we have going on in this game.
they're
Prescott versus
two,
Allen,
yeah, they're,
amazing.
they're
I
two
mean,
very evenly matched teams.
Herbert goes down for. I mean, I don't know if Fitz was playing Herbert prior to his injury, given he has Dak Prescott, who's been just lights out for the last
Hmm.
like 8 weeks. Um,
Hmm.
but that matchup is amazing, and so I'm excited to see that. And they're
Hmm.
playing each other, which is like I think even best thing. How is that not the Sunday night game?
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm not sure.
I don't know who the Sunday night game is, but it can't be better than Buffalo versus Dallas. That is
I
going to
was
be
just looking at this.
incredible. In
Also,
Buffalo, I hope
just
it's
to
snowing and windy and it's just a whole mess.
just to give you a quick heads up, uh, the Chargers did just score, however, not before the Raiders were able to tack on another one. So it is now 6-49.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Had to break in
Is
there.
Staley still on the sideline? Because that is
He sure,
embarrassing.
he sure is. Um,
Jesus
anyway,
Christ.
uh, so yeah, so Allen versus Prescott, and then
Incredible.
I think Fitz I would give the edge to in running backs with Kamara and Barkley. Um, I, I definitely think that's the side I'd prefer to have there. I'm intrigued to see what. Well, we'll keep
Good,
going down the
good.
list.
Yeah, I think right there, I do think, yes, I think Moss is going to get a lot of play. Robinson is so unpredictable.
Yeah,
You just don't know. Um,
my question to you was gonna be: does Bill uh, throw Aaron Jones out there, who I think is supposed to play this week? Does he give it a shot at all?
maybe over Najee Harris.
Hmm.
The other two, Moss and Bijan, I would definitely play over that.
Hmm.
Play over Aaron Jones. Najee Harris, maybe. I definitely I could see that.
Consider it.
But I also am like, you've got a couple other guys on here that I think you could potentially give maybe give a good run to. Like, I think Brandon
Brandon
Cooks.
Cooks. Yeah,
He's got he's had fairly low targets, but like he's kind of that big play guy.
yeah.
He's that third. He does get looked at a lot, I feel like, on third downs, and he's been scoring touchdowns. So like, uh, if he gets a touchdown, he's good. And then Downs has also been pretty good recently. Not really in fantasy wise, but his targets, have been somewhat up and down. But it'd be interesting to see uh, him. I would definitely play Aaron Jones over Downs actually, but
The
I
other
just don't
question,
know. I think you go with the best matchup there, and I like Brandon Cook in this situation.
speaking of the best matchup, um, the other question I had for you was so the typically I would say the tight end matchup in this game is great. It, you've got Hawkinson versus McBride.
Yeah,
McBride, who's
yeah.
just kind of set the league on fire recently. However, McBride playing San Francisco, who San Francisco hasn't necessarily been, their defense has been amazing, and they've been, especially of late, and they've been hell for a lot of other positions to play against. But tight end, it's not necessarily a position that they've like shut down all year. I don't think they're like a top five against tight ends in
I mean,
terms
they've
of
got Fred
fantasy.
Warner there. I mean, Fred Warner's that linebacker, I think, that picks up
Hmm.
tight end. So
But
I don't know. He didn't play very
so
well, yeah, last time.
so I guess my question would be, do you start Likely over
Oh,
McBride?
uh, that likely touchdown last week.
Hmm.
I did see that, and it was just a blown coverage touchdown, right? There was just no one anywhere near him.
Hmm.
Uh, you take that away, and some of the yardage, you're looking at a pretty pedestrian day, right? I mean, you're looking at like maybe 8 points. Um, I would still start McBride.
Hmm.
Um, I think McBride is the guy. I think you still have Marquise Brown is questionable to play.
Hmm.
Wilson has been practicing, but even then, like he's still a rookie that's missed a lot of time. So you don't have that timing and rapport with Murray.
Hmm.
You can't pass up a guaranteed 9 targets a game for McBride. I mean, that's what it's been the last
Yep. Yep.
4 weeks.
Agreed.
Um, I like it,
Uh,
and he hasn't even scored that many touchdowns, and he's still putting up, upwards of
yeah.
of
Yeah.
8 to 10 points. So,
Yeah. He
yeah,
has not been super touchdown dependent, which is it
yeah.
was great.
And
Um,
Hawkinson on the other side is it's interesting because now they're going to Mullen, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you stick with Dobbs, but they're going to Mullen, and you just don't know. I mean, it could be good for him. It usually is.
mhm. I
That
think
check down sort of.
Jefferson, it sounds like Jefferson's going to play this week. I think that'll help Hawkinson quite a bit. We'll
Mhm.
see.
I think it's
Um,
gonna be a great matchup. I think you've got a couple positions that could really make the difference here.
mhm.
The most fascinating to me is the wide receiver matchups. I mean,
Okay.
you've got Olave who's been banged up, right? He's got an ankle injury. Has still played pretty well, and then Thielen, who's kind of had that nosedive
Mhm.
in the last several weeks.
Mhm.
So kind of like two down positions there, and then two other receivers that are coming off of one's coming off of a really great week in Cooper Cup.
And Mike
Uh,
Evans coming off a dud.
yeah, huge dud. After people were essentially saying he was a first ballot Hall of Famer after he hit his 1,000-yard season for the 10th season in a row.
I mean, it's
He
pretty
just
incredible. The 10,000 yard seasons is something else.
Oh my
Um,
God. Yeah, he's for sure a Hall of Famer. I like for sure. It was
mhm.
incredible that he did that and then went for one catch for 8 yards.
Yeah. I gotta think
Huge,
he's gonna
huge.
bounce back big this week. Um, I would
Oh
love
yeah.
to see that game. I mean I would love to see that game be high scoring, the Green Bay um, Tampa Bay
Oh
game.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean I on Fitz's side of the ball,
Hard to pick.
is there So, I mean, is there a position that you or maybe a player on his bench that you would think about putting in there? The only real one is Garrett
Oh yeah.
Wilson, but
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what I was thinking. Yeah.
so is there somebody you would take out? I guess is the question. Like, is somebody that you would replace Garrett Wilson with it?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the numbers with Devonta Smith,
Hmm.
it is Devonta Smith with Goddard in, not very good,
Okay.
right? Like this stretch, right? Devonta Smith in the first, outside of week 2, uh, not startable, right? Just
Hmm.
not startable at all. Goddard goes down, and he goes for Washington, 19, 12, 12, 22, 20 points. Goddard comes back 7 points. And Goddard's back. So like is that target share, the target share is dropping. Uh you is he just not going to get, which you would think he would be more open, with a playmaker like Goddard on the field. But I don't know if they're running different personnel sets. It doesn't look like his snap percentage has dropped at all. So I don't think it's that, but like Hurts looks for Goddard maybe more than Devonta Smith. So
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's hard to tell from that. I watched that Philly Dallas game. I think it's hard to tell from that game exactly what the if it was if it was Goddard being back for Smith or if it was just that offense not really being able to get anything
yeah,
going in a substantial way. Um, all game. It was the Eagles had a rough day. Um, so he still had 10 targets. So I don't think it was. I don't know. It's just it's hard for me to say to sit Devonta Smith just given how well he's played.
you said
I don't
Olave. I mean,
know. I don't. Um, I think I keep it the
depending
way
on the
Fitz
ankle
has it.
injury. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if Olave is really hurt, then yeah, maybe I sit him. But I think I keep it the way Fitz has it for now. Um,
yeah. I mean, so far Olave hasn't practiced this week, so um, he could end up being forced to start Garrett Wilson.
yeah,
So,
which is not a bad
which
play.
no, I mean that's actually like really great. I think
Mhm.
if you have to pivot, you definitely pivot to Garrett Wilson. There's really no one else on his bench. I mean, you've got honestly, you do have Antonio Gibson, who if Robinson doesn't play, you've got a fairly good option there, right? I mean, I think that
Mhm.
you haven't seen a Brian Robinson list, Washington Commanders yet,
Mhm.
because Robinson went down in the middle of that Miami game in week 13, then they've been on bye. But assuming Robinson's out, and then you could see quite a bit of work from Gibson, uh, as presumably. I don't know who else is on their team. Depth chart being Chris Rodriguez. He's
Yeah,
a
I mean,
rookie, right?
I would
Yeah.
I would
I don't.
imagine. Oh, they got Wendell Smallwood on their team, former Eagle. I was just like that guy's name. It reminds me of like uh, a character from The Wire or something.
Yeah.
Um,
That's funny.
um,
Yeah.
the
Yes.
yeah, I think you stick with Devonta Smith is the play I would expect Fitz to make, but
Oh yeah.
we'll see.
I
Um,
think, yeah, if going into Monday night you've got Devonta Smith left and that and you need 10 points, you're probably feeling pretty good
yeah.
uh
All right.
for Fitz.
those are the two matchups this week.
Who do
The
you got? Who do you got?
So I'm
You may
taking.
go
I'm gonna
prediction here. You want me to go prediction?
Sure. Yeah, let's make a little prediction. Um, I'm gonna for the Ken Sullivan matchup. I'm gonna pick Ken, just because I'm not seeing it for Sullivan without the running backs. Um, and it's too bad he didn't pick up Zamir White tonight because I think that would have been pretty helpful to him. White's had a nice game. And then for the Fitz William the Goose matchup, I'm gonna go with Bill. I think Bill
You're going
pulls it
Bill,
out.
huh?
I am. I think Bill pulls it out on kind of on the back of it's tough to say Josh Allen's going to have a huge day against Dallas, but I'd like to see that game be a shootout as well. And then, yeah, I think Mike Evans bounces back strong. And then I actually, despite what I was saying before about questioning likely over McBride, I think McBride has a big day. They're going to be throwing all day. Arizona is to try to keep up with the 49ers, and I think McBride's going to come away with a ton of targets and end up having a big day, if not just in catches, in yardage as well. So,
Yep.
what
Yeah,
about
I
you?
think I'm definitely going Ken. He's just been formidable all
Mhm.
year. And I feel like he's kind of figured it out here. And so I think Ken's gonna kind of take that one. And then I kind of like picking who I think I'm gonna see in week 16, and uh, you know, I going down the line, I think Fitz's team scares me the most.
I
I'm
I
gonna be
agree with you that I
real.
think Fitz's team is scarier. I think facing Fitz's team is the one you probably don't want to face. But
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
don't know.
mean, if Bill has a boom week and gets past Fitz, I think I'd be okay. The last thing I want to see is Fitz in the semis, and then see Alvin Kamara put up like a 30 burger against me and and knock me out of the playoffs when I cut his ass. Uh,
Certainly
to
possible.
start this
All right. Um,
so, but I'm gonna take fifth. I'm taking fifth.
all right. Brother, you heard it here. Brother John taking Fitz. I'm going to take Bill. We're both going to take Ken. That's the story of the first round of the playoffs. We'll see what happens here. Good luck to each of those four teams playing in the first round. Um, and we'll see you back here next week. We'll do a little semifinal show. Um, Preview the semis, maybe take a little bit further deep dive back into the season. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see how tired we both are. um, but for John, this has been the RTF show.
I need some fucking sleep.